If you want to find the true source of geopolitical power today, don't look at who owns the most land. Look at who controls the intersections. When a single container ship becomes wedged in a narrow canal, the disruption ripples through the global economy in hours. Factories stall and inflation spikes across multiple continents, demonstrating how much modern life depends on a few critical choke points of movement. For most of history, empires like Rome and the Han Dynasty operated on a different logic. Their wealth was built on a simple physical equation: conquer fertile territory and tax the peasants who worked the soil. But the agrarian model has a built-in weakness. As dynasties age, bureaucracies grow and corruption sets in. To maintain their lifestyle, the ruling class squeezes the farmers with higher taxes until the system snaps, leading to starvation, rebellion, and total state collapse. Traditional state power was a fragile cycle. It relied on extracting value from a static population that had reached the limits of what their land could produce. In the early 13th century, a leader named Temujin united the rival nomadic tribes of the Asian steppe. He took the title Genghis Khan, but he inherited an environment with almost none of the traditional foundations of an empire. His army was built for speed. Mongol cavalry could cover enormous distances, using coordinated maneuvers and a massive horse supply to strike targets before a defense could even be organized. But this military machine was expensive, and the Mongols had a problem. They had no cities, no stored grain, and no agricultural tax base to fund their expansion. Genghis Khan was leading the fastest expanding military force in history, but his people lacked the physical assets that every other empire used to pay for its wars. The Mongols realized they didn't need to harvest wealth from the ground. Instead of taxing land, they would position themselves where wealth was already moving. They were going to monetize the flow of goods. Before the Mongols, the Silk Road was a fractured web. Merchants paid tolls to warlords and risked everything to bandits. These red nodes represent friction, slowing trade. But the Mongols replaced this chaos: submit and receive protection, or resist and be removed. When the Khwarezmian Empire chose to execute Mongol trade envoys, Genghis Khan responded by erasing their state entirely. In only a few years, his power surged across the heart of Eurasia. This violence served a strategic purpose. It was an enforcement mechanism that signaled to every city along the route that interfering with the flow of goods was a crime punishable by total annihilation. To manage this flow, they built the Yam, a network of relay stations that functioned as a medieval system for ultra-fast logistics. Messengers could carry information across the vast steppe at a rate of 100 miles a day. They also developed the Ortok, a partnership where Mongol elites provided merchants with capital and political backing in exchange for a share of the profits. Merchants in these partnerships carried a paisa, a metal tablet that acted as a VIP passport. It granted them safe passage, fresh horses, and priority through imperial territory, ensuring that while the trader took the risk, the profit flowed back to the military machine. These systems turned the Silk Road into a hyper-efficient machine under the Pax Mongolica. Ideas, technologies, and wealth moved from China to the Mediterranean with a speed and volume that was previously impossible. A system built on constant movement is difficult to sustain. When the empire stopped expanding and the internal routes became static, the unified Mongol state fractured into separate regions.
Although the Mongol state collapsed, the logic of their success remained. They proved that controlling the channels of access was more profitable than owning the soil. This same focus on circulation appeared again with the rise of the European maritime empires. Powers like the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the British followed a similar pattern of prioritizing the network over the hinterland. These empires often ignored massive inland conquests, focusing instead on strictly dominating sea lanes, trade ports, and the world's most critical shipping choke points. We see the same logic in the modern world. International sanctions and financial clearinghouses exert power by cutting actors out of a network rather than occupying their territory. The Mongols demonstrated that the most effective way to rule isn't by taxing a population into collapse, but by positioning yourself at the exact center of where value must flow.